Here is the case one, which says there is a Rohit is our hypothetical person, like one of you, and he got a job 2 years back after his graduation, and he started doing well. But the issue is that he has not done any planning for his retirement, because it may be too early for him to think about his retirement. But there is a wise advice from his father saying that better you start right away the post-retirement planning, so that you don't see this as a problem at some point of time. Many employees, particularly in a developing country, there are very few countries where the social security things are very high. In many countries, it is very weak. And therefore, it is better to develop some kind of a financial discipline when you are very young and the commitments are very less. So the setting goes like that. The Rohit's father felt that 50,000 rupees per month or 600,000 per year in the Indian rupee is adequate for a pension at today's cost of living. But Rohit somehow felt that he said that what do I do with 50,000 rupees per month? But his father responded saying that you can always you start with this number at this particular age. What about inflation? And he says that let's provide 4% for inflation. And let's also assume that we are going to get 10% return on the savings, whatever we are going to make. Rohit also want to retire earlier, but father advised to work till 60 years. So we have a data like this. The summarized part of the data is that his current age is at 25 years. Retirement age is at 60 years, which means that he is going to work for 35 years. And post-retirement, we presume that he is going to live for another 40 years, which means that he is living his full potential year, but which includes his spouse life. And the interest rate assumed as a 10%, inflation is a 4%. Pension at today's cost of living is a 600,000. Now the question before him is that how much he should start saving per month or per year to start with, so that it's easy for us to do a computation. Otherwise, per month means the period gets into too longer period. But we can try that later. To start with, we say that our savings are yearly basis. And we are going to take a decision today. And my first saving is going to be 1 year from now. And that is how much that should be the saving, constant amount saving, equal amount of saving for this entire period. And there is a slight variation. Also, Rohit also wants to know, instead of saving a constant amount during this entire saving period, whether he can start smaller amount and increase his saving at the rate of 5% per year. The idea is that his salary may not be that much very large today, so he wants to start with a smaller amount. But as he moves forward in his life, career, you would be earning more, and then he wants to increase that 5% every year. If that is the case, what should be his starting saving, so that we can increase that every year by 5%. So this is the context. Let's move further here. Yeah, Mohammed, let me just quickly answer your question. You will be given a window period. Generally, I think there's about 15 days period is given to you. In this 15 days period, you can take that exam any time of your choice. Okay. Let's do the setting here. This is, I put this number here so that you can change this number, right? Instead of putting 25, you can always put, this is, suppose you are 28 years, you can put 28 years. And you want to retire earlier, you can always put 58 years. Like that, you can change and then see its impact here on that one. So let me also put that number here. So we can make this as a computation. So 35 years of service is what we are planning to do now. Okay, the first thing which we need to answer in this question is that, okay, let me try to show you, unfortunately, I don't know whether to, let me try to draw that picture so that okay. Let us say we are here. This is my starting point, and we are going to save for n number of period. And this is my retirement time, right? And then we are going to have a pension during this particular period. And this is my last pension time on that one. So we start, this is time 0 in this example. And here, this is my end of a saving period, time 35, which is basically the end of saving. Then we have, this is a pension period. And this is my saving period. During this period, we save that one, which is basically 35 years of saving. This is my pension period. And this is a terminal time. We say that another 40 years from time 0, it is 75 years. So that makes that 100 years for us to do that one. Now we need to create a corpus here. So basically what we need to do that, build a corpus. All your savings should get into your corpus here. We say that's a corpus. And that is going to give us a pension, and the value becomes 0. After we are going to take out all our money in this particular period, and we are going to have a 0 here. So this is the idea. Now we need to find out what should be my pension at each period from the age of retirement, adjusted for a 4% inflation. So let me go back to the Excel sheet. I need to share it. Okay. So what should be my pension 1? Pension 1 is going to happen from now another 35 years, right? So we are now 25. Another 35 years is 60 years we are reaching. Followed by that, the next year, on the date of retirement, you don't need money because you are going to get a salary. With that salary, we can pull on for 1 year, 1 more year. But after that, we need to have it. Yes. After that, 1 more year is there. So from now, it is the age. I'll put age. You want at the age of 61 year this pension, and time from now is basically 36 years, right? Because we are 25. By the time we become 61, 36 years from now is that age. So my pension 62, like that. We need a pension up to this point of time. And this is going to be 37. Now the question is that what is my pension? What we call nominal value. What will be the nominal value of the pension at every point of time? At today's standard of living, it is 600,000. But now from 36 years from now, it will be more. So let's now find out what is the future value of this money, which is equal to 1 plus 4% raised to power 36. So you require a pension of 2.462 million. We just put that numbers here. So if I use the Indian numbers, it is a 24,62,360 is the amount we need to have a pension. What should be my pension? This is going to give me a standard of living of 600,000. Right? Is that clear? So before I proceed further, because this is a place where many students would have a doubt at a later point of time. If I get this value, 24,62,360, if I get as my first pension, this is equal to 600,000 of today's value. Now, in the following year, we require another 4% more. Right. So by then the inflation again increases by another 4%. So we require 4% more on that one. Like that, every year, my pension value started increasing. My last pension would be really very large, 1,13,67,153. But it is also equal to 600,000 of today's standard of living cost. So we need to draw this much of a pension every period. Now the question is that how much I need to save for it. So present value of a pension. So at the end of 36 years, I require 24,62,360. But the question is that what is today's value? Today's value should be equal to 24,62,000 divided by 1 plus, what is the rate of interest? It's a 10%. Raised to power, discounted to today's value, is 36 years. Let me just put the values in round number. They're just locking the 10% because when you drag that, the 10% won't move. It will stay constant on that one. Okay. This is not, we have done a mistake. So this should be minus my current age. Okay, let me explain to you now. If I save every period from now for next 25 years, not 25, next 35 years, so not correct, it should be 35. I'll explain to you, just hold on for a minute. Okay. If my savings for the next 35 years is my years of service, my saving period is for 35 years. And if all these savings with 10% interest added every year results in this 22,38,309, then one more year it will earn another 10%. It will earn another 10%, 1.1. I get 24,62,360, which is equal to first pension. If this is what I'm going to accumulate over next 30-year period, I can get one pension. With that, the pension is over. I cannot get the second pension, third pension, like that. So what we have done is that 24,62,360 divided by 1 plus 10%, that is a discounting rate. And we are now bringing that to the present value. The definition of the present value is 35 years from now. In other words, let me just go back. I'm just seeing where's my whiteboard. Okay. Now we can see that one, assuming that this is my first pension, and what we are doing is that we are trying to bring that pension to the present value. Similarly, my second pension, we are going to bring it to the present value. That's what we are going to do in every period. Right. Okay, let's do that one. What is my second pension? How much I need to bring it? That would be 22,16,408. If I'm able to get these two values, let me just put the summation. If my savings over next 30-year period, 35 years period, results in a corpus of 43,54,917, I can draw the first pension of 24,62,000 and another 25,60,000 at the age of 62. With these two pension, the pension is over. But we need to get all these things also, which means that we need to find out how much we need to save. All the savings are required. So what we say is that total corpus required to draw pension. What is my total corpus required should be equal to the sum of all these numbers. So if I have this much of a corpus, which we built over a period of a time, then we can draw all this pension without any problem. In nominal value, this one. So this corpus, we are taking out every period this much money, and then the balance continue to earn 10% interest. Then we draw second sum. Like that it goes on. And over a period of a time, this will become zero. I'll show you that computation. Assuming my corpus is this much, this is going to earn 10% interest, 1.1. And now we are going to withdraw this value. So what is left over at the end of 1 year from the pension time, this is what is left over. In the second period, this is a value available. And this goes on. Initially, it is increasing order. Just hold on. We need to verify our computations are correct. Let me just push it. Yeah, it's correct. So we are starting with a corpus of 366,85,948. And we are drawing this pension first. And this is a balance amount left over, which continue to earn 10% interest. And next year, we are drawing this much pension, and this is a balance amount. it goes on like that. Then finally, it turns out to be a zero value, where the corpus is emptied after drawing this pension. Okay. Any question we have at this point of time? Is that clear? This computation is clear? Yeah. Yes, Narendra Kumar. What is the question you have? Yeah, this is all from the personal employee. This is what you are planning for yourself. We are not discussing about with the company. There's company is not involved. There's the social security schemes in many companies are not that much great. They may, since you are, we know you are from India. So what companies will give you is a 10% of your basic salary, and as a provident fund, as the employer contribution. With that, their job is over. They are not worried about your pension and other things. Now you need to plan for yourself, your pension and other things. So this is what we are trying to do, that one. Okay. Now our target is this value. This is the amount we need to develop over a period of a time. Now the question is that how much we need to save every year for the next 35 years to reach this corpus. So constant savings required per year to reach the corpus. Right. So that's what we have to look for, that one. So how do you do that one? There are two ways in which we can solve this value. One is that you can use an Excel function that I'll show you that one. There's a function called as a PMT, will give you that answer. Alternatively, we can do that with an assumption of, suppose I save 1 rupee or $1 every year for the next 35 years at 10%, what would be the value of the future value of an annuity? So we can do that one. There's a function called as FV. Let me invoke that function so that it's easy for you to follow that. The rate of interest is 10%. NPR is a number of period, is 35 years. That's a savings period for us. PMT, let's assume that one we are saving every year. Type is we are going to start our saving only at the end of the period. This is what? Let's put the PMT as a minus number where there is a saving outflow 1. Done. So we are going to get 271.02. If I save 1 rupee every year for next 35 years, with interest, I'm going to get 271.02. But my target saving is a 366,85,000. Therefore, my saving should be this value divided by 4. Every year, I need to save 1,35,360, a constant value, over a period of next 35 years. That will give me a corpus of 366,85,948. That will allow me to draw this pension, which is equal to 600,000 per year with an inflation of 4%. We can get this 1,35,360 instead of doing this way. There's another formula called PMT. The rate of interest is at 10%. NPR is at 35 years. Present value is 0. Future value I want to achieve is this is amount. type is a 0, how much I need to do that one? So we get the same value, 1,35,306. It's a minus number because it need to be saving. This is what we have to do over a period of a time. So we can convert that on a monthly basis, savings per month approximately is going to be divided by 12. In other words, if you save 11,280 per month today, you will be getting a value equal to 50,000 rupees pension per month adjusted for a 4% inflation, which is not very bad. A person who is drawing, let's say, 50,000 or 60,000 rupees per month, his salary, he can save about 15 to 20% of his saving in this manner and then do that one. Okay. Is it clear so that we can quickly answer the second part of the question? If you delay your saving period, then the amount to be saved would be very large. For example, repeat the same analysis, assuming you are a 40 years age and you have another 20 years of a saving, the amount to be invested, saved every period would be much, much higher. So the financial planning is better to do at the beginning itself. The PMT gives you the per month value, whereas FV gives you the total value at the end of the period. So these two are different functions. So what we have done is that we have used FV, but we 366 divided by FV, we got that one. Instead of doing a two-step process, we can do it one step itself, the PMT function. Okay. Now, my second question is that if we save at an increased rate of 5%, how much is the first saving? That is my second question, because Rohit finds that starting with 11,280 per month or 1,35,360 may be too much. He says that I will start with a smaller saving, but I will increase it every period 5%. What should be the value? So we can do that one. What we have to now find out is that if I start saving 1 rupee, which is going to grow at the rate of 5% per year for the next 35 years, how much I'm going to get at the end of the period? What would be my corpus value on that one? Unfortunately, there is no shortcut formula on this one because most of the the annuity formulas are basically with a constant value. It's not possible to have a growing annuity. There is no shortcut formula for a growing annuity. We need to do that separately here and then get that value. So let's do that one. So let's say 1, 2, total period of saving is 35 years. So let's put that one. With Excel, any kind of computation, we can do it very easily. So my first period saving is a 1. My second period saving is that multiplied by 1.05. So this is what I'm going to save. Third saving is that 5% over and above. Like that is increasing. Right? So over a period of a time, my savings are going to be like this. Okay. This is all my saving. Now the question is that what would be the future value of this saving? Well, this 1 rupee is going to be there for next 35 years. Right? We are still 36 years, it is there. So this is going to be 1 multiplied by 1.1. Let me just put that figure here. Raise the power We need to get 35 as a number. So the easy way for us to get 35 as a constant value is that 36 minus this one value. Yes, next year it should be 34. Let's put the closure. So this 1 rupee at the end of 35 years from now is going to be 28.10. Like that, every value is going to have a increasing. So the summation of this is equal to 496. So what you are looking is that the equivalent of 271, if I say 1 rupee every period for next 35 years, its future value is at 271. On the other hand, if I start 1 rupee now and increase it every year by 5%, the saving value is 496. Right, it's going there. Okay, let me just put D95. So 496.9 would be my value. Now I can solve this equation. How much I need to do that saving? That would be like 366 divided by 496. So 29 or approximately per month saving would be 6,152 per month saving. I start with this 73,829 as a yearly saving, but next year I will increase it by 5%. Like that, I will start increasing every year by 5%. Then I can reach this corpus of 366, 85 lakh, 948. That will allow me to withdraw this pension of 600,000 adjusted for a 4% inflation, which is equal to this kind of a pension. So depending on your comfort level, you can either start saving this amount or either this amount or start with that one. Okay, is that clear? Can we move to the next one, project appraisal? Okay, sure. Please do that planning a bit early in your life. So if you try to do that planning at the age of 40 years, then it will be very tough. By then, your commitment, everything will be very large. And therefore, it's better to do it early on that one. Okay, good. Let's go to the next case, which is a full-fledged project appraisal. I have some data with me before. I just entered the data to save time. So we have a project before us. We are this particular company, PT Private Limited, is planning to execute a project. And the cost of the project is basically 33 million is the total project cost. And the breakup details are available on this one. And how they are going to fund the project, this is how they plan to fund. Sorry, this should be 33. Right? So this is the total funding of the project. Now the question is that we want to evaluate whether the project is viable. So we have some more data, right? The project details are available. The cash flow details are given. We are expecting a capacity utilization from 50%, 65%, 85% at different point of a time. And the company expects the sales price is going to be 1.4 per unit, and it will increase at the rate of 5% per year on account of inflation. Raw material cost is purely variable at 60% of the sales. And we have utilities, etc., employee costs. Like that, we have so many cost data available. And we also have a tax, and we also have a depreciation, which is going to be 10% value. Depreciation is, 20% of the return on value method for the income tax purpose. Life of the project is assumed to be 10 years. At the end of 10 years, the land, building, and other things are book value machines are realized at book value. That is a depreciated value. We have some data about the cost of equity and other things. So let's try to use this data to build the project evaluation report. Okay. Let's put the time here 0, 1, 2. So we assume that project has a 10-year life. Okay. Let's try to now estimate these values. Okay. My first cash outflow. How much we require for the project? So we know that it is minus 33. This is the amount we need to invest. Now let's try to project what are my cash inflows year on year. So we'll start with the revenue. What is the revenue which we are going to get for a different point of a thing? So what we say here is that the total capacity is 30 million units per year. That's what the project capacity. The quantity produced is 30 million per year. In the first year, we are going to achieve 50% capacity utilization, which means that we are going to get only 15 million units. And expected selling price for the year 1 is a 1.4. So we are going to get a revenue of a 21 million in the first year. Sorry, this is the first year, 21. What about second year? So let's try to drag it in the second year. We need to change the number. In year 2, we are going to achieve 65% capacity utilization. And my price is going to be increased by 1.05 raised to power 1. Every year, the price is going to increase by 5%. So this is going to be the value. My starting sale price is a 1.4 per unit. Next year, it is going to be increased by 1.05. That's a 5% increase. And that is raised to power 1 because every year it's going to increase. Therefore, let's put this as a previous year number as a value. So 29. Second year, my capacity utilization from year 3, my capacity utilization is going to be 85%. And there it stays for the rest of the period. Still, my revenues are increasing because of that 5% increase. For example, if you see the difference of these two, it is equal to 5%. This multiplied by 1.05 is 41. And then if you drag it, so you can see the same numbers which is appearing. So subsequent increases is because of the 5% increase. In the first 2 years, the increase is not only because of the 5%, but also the increased capacity utilization. We are starting at 50%, then we are increasing it to 65, and then we are moving it to 85%. This is my revenue. Then let me just put all my cost data. So raw materials. It is given raw material cost is purely variable and expected to be 60%. Right? We can actually keep this number before you. We can see that raw material cost is 60% of the sales. So let me just put this as a 0.6. And that is where. Yeah. Then we have utilities. What is stated for utilities is that utilities are expected to be 0.5 million in year 1, 0.6 in year 2, and 0.8 million from year 3 to 10. So it's a fixed cost. There is no variation in that one. 0.5, 6, and 0.8. 5 in the first year, 0.6 in the second year, and 0.8 in the third year. And that is constant for the rest of the period. My next line item is employee cost. What is stated as employee cost? Employee cost says 1 million is a fixed for year one and increases at the rate of 5% per year. So 1 million, and then it increases every year by 1.05, 5% every year. Right? So probably you will. Okay, we will increase it by one more decimal. So that, yeah. My next line item is a factory overhead. Factory overhead, it is stated as fixed is a 0.4 million for year one and increases 10% per year, mainly to handle additional maintenance expenses and inflation. This also fixed, so 0.4, but going to increase every year by 10% instead of other things. Okay. We have this factory overhead. Then we have administrative expenses, which is fixed is 80 million. It is 0.8 per year. Then selling expenses, 0.2 per year, variable is a 5% of sales. Then we have other expenses. Basically, miscellaneous expenses. And that is given as 1.5 million per year, increases by 5%. Okay. So we are through with most of the expenses. Principal part of the loan is repaid. Depreciation we need to consider. Loan repayment is not an issue for us. We say the investment decision, financing decisions are independent. We need to take the other things into account. Okay. Before I proceed, if my audio is clear, because it is raining a bit here. I don't know whether you get the noise of rain here. Otherwise, I need to close my windows and other things. I'll do that one. I just close the windows and come. Just give me a minute.
No, I've been giving you guys a lot of...
No, I'm in a WebEx session going on. I just closed the window for the rain.
Monday, hopefully morning, latest by 4 o'clock.
No.
Okay, sorry.
I'm doing a book session. Okay, I close the window so that I hope that things will be clear now. Okay, now let's proceed further. We are, by and large, we are through with all the expenses now. Now we need to put the depreciation at the. Let's put the total expenses at this point. The total of all the expenses at this point of time is that is excluding depreciation, interest, and other things. Since we are familiar with the language of accounting, let's call this as a profit before depreciation, interest, and taxes. Right. So how much is going to be my revenue minus all these expenses is my PBDIT, right? So we have this value with us. Now we need to find out what is the depreciation, primarily to compute the taxes, right? After that, what we need to deduct, we should not deduct depreciation, we need not deduct interest, but we need to deduct the taxes. PBDIT minus tax is what we have to compute on that one. So let's find out what is a tax, right? So for that, we need to separately compute the depreciation schedule. Let me just lock this so that so we have values 0, 1, 2, 3, 10 years. So let's go through that, the instruction given for the depreciation. Depreciation is 20% under the return on value method for income tax purpose. That's what it's stated. But remember, which of the assets are eligible for depreciation? That is what we have to find out. So we have a asset of land which is not eligible for depreciation. Building is eligible for depreciation. The machineries are eligible for depreciation. Technical know fee, consultant fee is not eligible for depreciation because it is not an asset. Working capital is also not eligible for depreciation. So these are the only three items which is eligible for depreciation: 4 lakh, 15 lakh, and 5 lakh. So 24 lakh is eligible, 24 million is eligible for a depreciation. So my depreciation, the asset value, opening asset value is 24 million and depreciation at 20%, $4.8, closing asset value right. Then the opening value is 19.2 and 20% of that is a 3.84. My closing value is this one. Now we can drag this for the rest of the period. So we get, so my depreciation for the year 1 is a 4.8, for year 2 is a 3.84, 3.07, and 2.46, like that. My depreciation is that. If I actually look into that, 3.84 is nothing but 80% of 4.8. 3.07 is actually 80% of 3.84. Yes, we are doing a return on value method. I will show you that one. This is nothing but 0.8 times of this value. This is what's happening, right? You can see 0.68, 0.81, all numbers are equal. So 80% of the previous year depreciation is the value of the depreciation. We have a depreciation rate is 20%. So we got the depreciation value. Let's put PBDIT, which we computed here, This is what troubling right from the beginning. PBDIT is at 2.95, and depreciation we just now computed. What we are doing is that we are computing the tax now. It's at 4.8, and PBIT is right. Interest. I'm writing interest because to ensure that we don't make a mistake. So even though we need to pay interest, because of our separation of investing and financing decision, we are not going to consider. We are going to put zero value. We are going to consider the tax benefit on interest separately when we are computing the cost of debt. We'll do that later. So profit before tax. If you have any doubt on that, you need to refer the video to understand why we keep that interest is equal to zero. Because we believe all projects are funded at 100% equity, and any issue related to the debt are handled while computing the cost of capital, cost of debt. This is what we get. That is what profit before tax. And tax is stated as 30% is the corporate tax rate. So we will now apply 30% tax on that one. Since it is a loss, we don't need to pay any tax. But this year, we need to find out what is the tax. The cumulative value is still negative, 0.32. So we don't need to pay any tax, 0, 0. In the next year, we need to pay a tax at the rate of 30%. So that is sum of these three numbers. Yes, by then we have a profit. The cumulative profit at the end of year 3 is a 5.34. On that, we have to pay 30% tax. The next year onwards, we need to pay the normal tax of 30% on the profit which we get. Right. So we have completed this part. Now we can plug this number here. So we keep all our tax computation, etc. separately and bring that number here. Okay. Well, before that, we forgot to do one more thing. We have a technical know-how fee which we can charge at the beginning of the year. So this amount, technical consultant fee of 2 million, we can charge in the year 1. Therefore, this is another 2 million. So profit before tax for the first year should be -2. So 3.85 is a loss in the first year, but after that we don't have anything. If the tax law says these things need to be spread over a period of 5 years, then we need to put 0.4, 0.4, 0.4 kind of a thing. That depends on the tax laws. We presume that our tax law allows us to charge the entire amount in the year 1. So my profit before tax is a 3.85 negative, 1.53, but cumulatively it's still negative 2.32, and therefore we don't pay any tax. In this year, cumulatively my tax, the value is a 3.34. Even though I got 5.36, I'm adjusting the loss of the first year. I'm getting 3.34. On that, 30% is a 1 million. From here onwards, it is a standard thing on that one. So we get that values here. Right? So we have that now. What we get is now is called as a cash flow, cash inflow. How much? 2.95 minus 0. This is my cash inflow. Then we need to add terminal cash flows. Because in the last year, we need to make certain adjustment. So what is the adjustment we need to do that one? So if we go through this thing, we said that one, the land and other things are to be, at the end of year 10, the land, building, and book value of the machines are realized at the book value. So we need to make certain number here. The cost of the land is given as, if you look at that, it's land and site is at 2 million. 2 million plus the book value of the depreciation at the end of that is closing asset value is at 2.58, which includes the building and plant and machinery. Plus, we also invested how much in a working capital is a 5 million. That also we get back is a 5 million. So this 9.58 is a terminal cash flow, incremental cash flow. So cash inflow net is sum of these two. First 9 years there is nothing, whereas in the 10th year we have this value. Now we need to find out what is the present value of cash flows. This requires a computation of a cost of capital. So let's do that cost of capital computation. The first thing which we need to find out is what is the cost of debt and what is the weight. These are the things which we need to find out. Capital, cost, weight, and weighted average cost of capital. So let's take the debt. How much is the total debt we are funding? So we said that one rupee loan is a 20. Of 33 million, we are going to borrow 20 million at 12% interest rate. So my debt or the loan value is at 20 million. Sorry, we'll put the amount also. $20 million is the value. Cost is at 12%. Weight will compute. Debt is at 20. Equity is given as 10 is the equity. Cost we need to find out. Then subsidy. Okay, not subsidy. There's interest-free development loan is a 3. The cost is 0%. There's no interest. The government is giving some kind of incentive by way of an interest-free loan. Cost of equity we need to compute. So we know that cost of equity is equal to, given as RF plus risk-free rate plus beta times equity beta RM minus RF. So this is our formula. We discussed that in the thing, in the lecture. So let's try to find out. The average equity beta of the electronic component manufacturer is a 1.4. Risk-free rate is given as a 7%, and RM minus RF is a 8%. So 7% multiplied by 1.4 times of 8%. Let me write down. Risk-free rate is given as 7%. Risk premium, basically that RM minus RF is given as 8%. And then equity beta, average is 1.4. Using that, we can now find out 7% plus 1.4 times of 8% gives me the value, which is 18%. Cost of equity is given as a 18%. Weight is, we need to get the total. Now we can compute the weight for each component. 20 divided by 33. So 61% weight is for the debt. 30% weight is equity. And another 9% weight is the interest-free loan. My weighted average cost of capital would be 12% multiplied by 1 minus tax rate is 30%. This is the place where we have to adjust the impact of taxes on the interest amount multiplied by the weight. So it is equal to 5%. Here it is, there is no interest tax concession. Therefore, you just simply multiply by 18% and 30%. So this is what we are going to get in the second one. The last one, it is basically 0% multiplied by 9% is a zero value. So summation. So the weighted average cost of capital is at 10.6%, which has happened to be a discounting rate. Discounting rate here at 10.6%. We need to find out what is the value, discounted cash flow. So 33 divided by 1 plus my weighted average cost of capital is this value. Let me lock it. Raised to power C. So let's drag it for the rest of the period. Okay. It's not C2, it is a C17. Where my cash inflows are here. I need to discount this divided by 10.6 raised to power 1. So let's copy this for the rest of the period. Yeah. So percent value of cash inflows is sum of these cash inflows. Positive numbers is called cash inflows. Percent value of cash outflow. You know that it's a 33 million. That gives us a net present value of the difference of these two is a net present value, 11.29. So the decision is accept if NPV is greater than or equal to 0 and therefore accept. What is the internal rate of return? That's fairly simple. It's equal to IRR. We have all our cash flows for year. We need to put that minus 33 also here so that we can compute the IRRs easily. IRR happened to be 17 or 16.7%. The decision is that accept if IRR is greater than or equal to 10.6%, which is the discounting rate, and therefore the decision is accept. You can also compute payback period. Payback period, we need to drag this. So initially we spent 33. At the end of first year, we got 2.95. So still 30 has to be recovered. 5.37, you can see that some value here, and where it turns out to be a negative is what we need to now look into that one. So in year 5, it is a negative 2.3. In year 6, it is a positive 5.4. So we know that the payback period is in between 5 and 6 years. So we can say that approximately 6 years. Discounted payback period. We need to do the same thing, but we need to use the present value computation. You can find out where it gives you the negative value. At the end of 6th year, it is negative. Even at the end of 7th year, it is negative, but 2.8 is a negative number. At the end of 8th year, it turns out to be a positive, like a 0.9. Therefore, we now need to consider the approximately it is 8 years. Okay. Some people ask the question. Let's see that Sunil Gaurav is that if the project was 5 years, would the cost of equity still be same? Yeah, cost of equity remains the same, right? What is the rate at which we are raising the money? What equity investors are expecting return? That is what we call the cost of equity. Whether it is for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, the equity holder says, I want to have a return of this much percentage. And whatever we get, this number is per year. So that 18% cost of equity is not for the entire 10-year period. It's per year, I require 18% is my return. It is immaterial whether it is for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, this number was true. So we get all these numbers, right? So this is a summary of all these numbers. Sorry. Okay, so let me just summarize what we have data here. So this is what our final discussion on that one, right? Net present value is 11.29 million, and therefore the project is accepted. Yes, it is greater than 0, and internal rate of return is at 16.7%, which is greater than the cost of capital of a 10.6. Therefore, the decision accept. Payback period is 6 years approximately. Discounted payback period is 8 years approximately. So this is what we conclude from this one. Now, one of the things is that in doing that evaluation, okay, before I try to answer this sensitivity analysis very quickly, I just want to know whether these things are clear to the people who are attending. I don't know what is the final number now. So we have 13 participants. Okay, good, not bad. So please tell me whether things are clear, this working is clear. You may want to go through once again or independently practice once again to check whether you are getting these numbers exactly. And wherever there is a difference, we can figure it out why the difference is there, or you can write to me in the chat mail, in the discussion forum, asking for a clarification on this one. But at this point of time, when you follow me, whether things are clear to you. If things are clear? Okay. At least Shino says at this point it's clear. Good. At least you need to practice. My suggestion is that independently solve this problem once again and check whether the numbers are closer to that. And you can always compare. This is going to be given. This Excel sheet will be available to you, and you can always verify where the difference is happening on that one. So this is the project NPV and IRR computation. So what we'll do now, quickly to show you the sensitivity. We have not done that in the lecture. And therefore, I'm not going to take much time, but at least explain to you how to do the sensitivity analysis. Because there's going to be an error. These are all projections. Whatever we have done, capacity utilization, everything is a projected number. And naturally, the person who is proposing the project, he tend to give slightly a most optimistic projection. So all projects are bound to have certain forecasting error. Now the question is that how do I assess the forecasting error? So one of the things which we do that is called as a sensitivity analysis. With an assumption of 5% or 8% is a choice. Let's assume that there's a 5% forecasting error. How do you do that one? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy and paste it here. Let me just introduce a new row to show. Assume that rate selling price per unit as a forecasting error of 5%. What does it mean? We projected our selling price per unit is a 1.4. But now we say that this may be a overestimation. What would happen? Now this is going to be, my earlier price was 1.4 multiplied by 5% forecasting error. Therefore, it is going to be 95% of that value. So I'm going to realize not 1.4, 1.33. What will be the impact of this one? Just go back and change this to 1.33. And after that, drag it for the rest of the period. So my revenues are now revised to the downward. Whereas earlier, the current cumulative value of the revenue is a 404 million. When we did last time, the cumulative value is 425. Now we brought down to 5% on that one. So what is the impact of this one? The impact of this is the net present value is now declined from 11.29 was my net present value and 16.7% is the IRR. Now the current IRR is 15.2 and net present value is 8.2. Fortunately, the numbers are still positive and therefore we still go ahead and accept the project. So the project is able to withstand a 5% forecasting error in the net present value. Let's assume that we'll put one more condition. Assume there is a forecasting error of 5% on project cost. What would happen? So this is going to be now not 33. It is going to be 33 into 1.05. Our error is always on the negative side. So let me just increase it to 1.05. What would happen? The net present value is still coming down, right? Earlier, it was 8.34 and 15.2. Okay, this number is to be revised. Now, this is multiplied by 1.05. Now you can see that one, it has come down to 6.69. Earlier it was 8.84, 8.34. Now it has come down to 6.69. So the project is still viable on that one. Similarly, we can make an assessment on that one. For example, assume raw material cost as 5% forecasting error. Now, we assume that my raw material cost is 60%. Now, we say that it's not going to be a 60%, it's going to be slightly more than 60%. So, another 5%, which means that is another 0.03. Let's say 63% is my cost. What would happen to my cost? So, my net present value is coming down to 1.9, but still it is a positive. So, the project is able to sustain this forecasting error. Forecasting error of the selling price, negative by 5%. There is a forecasting error of a 5% in project cost. We incorporated that. That also 33 has become 34.7. Raw material costs also increased by 5%. These are the three dominant cost factors in my project. The rest of the things, utilities, employee costs, all these things are relatively smaller. Only the three numbers are larger value. I test whether the project is viable even after taking into that the sensitivity factor. Who will decide this 5%? That becomes the experience. By experience over a period of a time, we will assess how much project cost, actual project cost deviates from the estimated project cost. With that experience, people will put 5% or 6% or 8%, depending on the number which they have. So this is the standard way to assess whether the project will withstand this kind of a variation in the project cost. Okay, so this is a full-fledged exercise on project appraisal. This is what most banks will do when they are taking up a project for funding. They would ask the person who is going to borrow money to submit the project details, and they will work out these things and then find out whether the project is viable or not. If you are bidding for any, suppose you are a startup company and you are going to ask money from venture capital or angel investors or private equity, and they will also ask for the projections like that, and then they will put through all these numbers and find out what is the profitability of the project, net present value, internal rate of return, payback period, or usual things which people will compute to assess whether the project is viable. And this analysis holds good whether it is for a large project, whether it's a greenfield new project with a large investment, or just a replacement of an equipment, or an expansion project. For every project where you require an initial cash outflow and a series of cash inflow which you are going to get, this is the method which we generally follow and compute the values on that one. Okay, I will stop here and then take your questions to the discussion forum if you have anything. But if you have any quick question, please ask me. I will clarify before we wind up the thing. So you need to say whether you have the things are clear at this particular point of time, or you have any still doubt on that. Okay, great. I presume there is no further question. We are closing the session and catch up with you in my next course, right? Right, I don't know. For this course, it's over now. We need to look for a next course. I plan to do one on investments later, maybe next year. You're welcome to attend that one. Please, it's again, I'm requesting you, please put your views in coursetalk.com. Okay, write down, please give your feedback in right now there's only one feedback is there. I want a couple of you to visit the website and then enter your feedback there. That will be useful for future learners in that process. Okay, great. Thank you. We are closing the session now.